Hello everybody, it's Diane here. I'm doing more of a show and tell today than actually doing something because I made square cards. You may recall it was the beginning of October. They're still sitting here. To use up scraps, so I used squares in the background. And I had mentioned it would be a good technique for Christmas, and I got a comment, yeah, I hope you do some Christmas. And I had it in my mind anyway. So I just went ahead and did it. I mean, you just saw that process. I didn't do anything differently. So I'll recap a little bit in case you missed that or forgot. These are standard size cards, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. The squares are 1 5/8 inches square, right? That makes them a square, right? And I was just trying to use up scraps. Normally, this isn't really a style I do, but to use up scrap stuff is pretty good. I will give you a little bit of a tip or a warning. It can be tricky. You're starting with a busy background, which I have preached on a number of times. Don't do that because it is hard. You're competing with your main image. So the way around that is to use a big image, kind of in this case, or you can gesso over, or just pick papers that are pale, neutral, that type of thing. Or you are going to kind of fight with it, fair warning. So this one uses a bigger image. I have ribbon or some kind of trim in all of them. There's washi on the bottom here. I did do some envelope, very basic little marker stuff. And I also did a sentiment off my printer in each one. Definitely adding borders or a little image or something inside is really good. I just sort of ran out of time. I just had to stop working on these. so, so here is another example of bigger images. It's actually kind of pretty. Some of the more vintage looking ones I did lightly ink the cardstock because it's just white. That's all I had. If you have off-white, that would be nice for a vintage look. Now this one I did gesso over like these 3 squares, and then I added a little gesso just to coordinate it. But you see how this, snow on these pines is sort of busy. So putting it on these patterns, it just was totally lost and looked very hideous. So that's one way around that. All of these images are scrapbook paper with a couple exceptions. The word here is a sticker. That's a real postage stamp from many moons ago. And like I said, these are just kind of trying to use up scraps. They're not real layered. You could send them right through the mail, which I like. And I will say most of my scrap stuff is very similar. I have a lot of repeats, but that's just what I wanted to use up. So this one, I did sort of incorporate because of the Santa there and the candy canes. So I did not cover them up on purpose. These next few, I sort of used the squares as a background for smaller images. So that's a route too. Most of these sentiments are just printed off my computer here. Now this one is very plain. It's just the 6 squares, Merry Christmas, and then it's washi tape and ribbon. But that's kind of pretty too. And if you're just going to make 1 or 2 of these, it's pretty fast. This took me a while. I added sequin stars here. This reindeer and snowflakes are on the red. Otherwise, it's just the squares. And then just to show you guys, I did one vertically. Personally, I don't know. To me, this just looks better. But this is fine. And I did leave this little tag blank. I thought I could write to you or to whoever if I want to personalize it. And then because I had so many squares, I made a bunch of tags, and I do intend these to be package tags. They're not, you could use them in a journal, definitely, but I wasn't trying to, make a big art piece type tag. So I just had two squares then on a piece of cardstock and did the same thing. I thought it was wrapping paper, but add ribbon, a sentiment, an image. Those were kind of cute. Those worked out fun. It's eyelash yarn on there. Okay. So like I said, I didn't want to repeat the process. I just did. But just to show what Christmas looks like in that squares format. It's sort of nice too if for some reason you're just at a loss, you don't know what to do. This way you kind of have a formula to follow, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? You're not just totally making something up out of your brain. Okay, well, a bunch of Christmas cards. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you have a good day out there.